Hello, and welcome to Oh No, Ross and Carrie, the show where we explore spirituality, fringe science, claims of the paranormal, and more, all from a scientific standpoint.
Yep. When they make the claims, we show up so you don't have to. I'm your co-host, Ross Blotcher.
And I'm your co-host, Carrie Poppy.
And today, you'll get to hear all about our journey to Seek the Sikhs.
Which means that our second prize goes to Ann Hanna from Pasadena, California. Congrats, Ann. You'll be getting a half-used bottle of nail polish from my personal collection.
Well, I have to say, it was my idea originally for us to investigate the Sikhs.
Oh, you have to say that, do you? You have to tell everybody.
I'm taking credit.
Oh, okay. Actually, you did. I remember when we first talked about doing the show, you said, I want to visit the Sikhs.
It's been on my short list for a long time of places I want to go.
So we decided we were going to go and check out the Sikhs. I didn't know very much about them.
I really knew nothing. So, yeah, this was a real learning experience. And I think we kind of purposefully chose to just show up and see what happens without really knowing. I'd gotten a bit of advice from my friend about, what to wear, which, is pretty much just dress modestly and have your head covered.
Have your head covered. That's kind of all anyone knows about the Sikhs is like they wear a scarf on their head. So we did a little bit of research to find out some basic information. Sikh means learner or student. It's a religion that originated in India in the 1400s. Been around a long time.
Yeah.
They adhere to a strict code of appearance, so they wear 5 Ks: the Kesh, the Kara, the Kirpan, the Kashera, and the Konga, which are uncut hair, a steel bracelet, a small sword, special underwear, and a special comb. Although I have to say I didn't see most of those things.
No. Well, there were some swords, like scabbards, but I didn't see any actual swords. Special underwear, those were not on display.
Right.
Special comb. Yeah, now I'm curious. We need to go back and find these things.
Actually, I believe the special comb is under the turban or under the headscarf, so we might not have.
Okay.
And they have these major principles of the faith: truth, equality, freedom, justice, and karma, which I can get down with most of those things.
Those sound pretty good.
I like truth.
Truth is good. Yeah, check.
Yeah.
Equality.
Equality, like it.
I approve.
Freedom, big into freedom.
Hard to argue against that. Justice.
Right. Justice.
It's fair.
Yeah. Karma.
Karma. Well, it depends on what you mean by karma.
Right.
I mean, if it's just the idea that, things that you do can come back later.
Right. Then swell.
Yeah. That's not a metaphysical claim. That's fine.
Right.
It's true in many cases.
They do take it a step further than I think you and I would, in that they believe in reincarnation. So.
Okay. Disagree with that.
Right.
So they teach gender and race equality.
Thumbs up.
Also
hey,
good.
Down with that.
Yep.
They believe in reincarnation, but not miracles.
But they don't think that in everyday life, the laws of physics are abrogated for people's needs.
Right, and in order to prove the existence of a deity or anything like that.
Okay, I'm down with that. They teach moderation in everything.
Everything.
Which is, one of my quotes to live by. Moderation in everything, including moderation.
I've seen that on your Facebook, Ross.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a good quote.
Yeah, it's good. They talk especially about not eating or speaking too much.
Let's have a moment of silence. Oh, wait. That doesn't make for very good podcasting, does it? All right.
You can all have a moment of silence after the podcast. And a few things to fight here: pride, anger, lust, worldly attachment, and greed. Now, okay. I can see why we have to fight greed.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Worldly attachment, I'm kind of okay with.
Well, again, it depends. In moderation, worldly attachment is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, when it gets down to, like, materialism, I guess I get that. Lust, I'm kind of down with.
Yeah. In context, lust is a good thing, too. So, I don't know, guys.
Pride and anger.
Well, yeah, all of these are really moderation things.
Right.
It's good to be prideful to a certain extent.
Right.
I'm sure they'd agree if you asked them that.
Right. So far, stamp of approval, right?
Yeah, we like these guys so far. Pretty good. So you looked into it first.
Yeah, we wanted to go visit. We looked up a few Gurdwaras, which is what they call their temples, in Los Angeles. I think I came up with 3.
Oh, really?
And yeah, but I couldn't find websites for any of them. But they did all have phone numbers, of course. So I started calling around. No one had an answering machine. No one had a website. It's very hard to get these people
right.
In contact with me. But you had an address for the one in North Hollywood, and I live in North Hollywood, so that was
I live in
excellent.
North Hollywood.
Oh my God, we should meet up sometime.
Oh yeah,
hang out. So I drove up there, and when I got there, I thought for sure there would be signs saying the hours. There was nothing. There was this very pretty building. The only sign at all was just saying something like "Welcome to the Gurdwara." And so I just kept circling this place, looking and looking. And then I thought, okay, well, I'll just go in and talk to someone. But as I started to enter, I realized everyone's heads were covered and all the women were dressed head to toe. Oh. And I didn't really know yet what was expected of me.
And what were you wearing?
I, being the slutty whore I am, was wearing, just like a jean skirt and a tank top, which would ordinarily be very normal wear for
sure,
me.
Of course.
But as I was walking in there, yes, I felt like a prostitute. So then I thought, okay.
First impressions are everything, Carrie.
Right, I know. So then I tried to talk to someone sort of through a gate, but he didn't speak English, and that became apparent very quickly. So then I was just this woman trying to solicit him for sex or something in another language, who knows.
So basically, ultimate fail on the first visit.
Yes, it was no good. But so then as I was standing there, I thought, okay, I'll call again. Maybe I'll have better luck. This man answered the phone, and I said, hello, is this the Sikh Gurdwara? And he said, yes. And I said, great. What are your hours? And he said, what? And I said, what time are your services? And he said, what? And I said, when's a good time to visit? And he said, I don't understand.
Oh.
And I said, when can I stop by? And he said, I'm sorry. And then he hung up.
Oh, there's only so many ways to rephrase it.
Yeah. So I just thought, oh, well, screw it. Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't seem very welcoming.
Right.
But then I was able to ask my friend who had been there many times, and luckily he knew when the services were. So he told us that you could come on Fridays between 7:30 and 9.
Yeah.
Or Sunday mornings, I believe.
We said Friday. That's for us.
Yeah, Friday was the day that we could go.
Okay, so by the time we were ready to go, we knew that we had to cover our heads, and I was very worried about this because headscarves don't stay on my head.
Why?
Our listeners need to know, Ross.
Yes.
My hair is too sleek and thin.
Huh.
See, women who have really nice, thick hair that's nice and coarse, the headscarves will stay on their heads. But no, if you're like me and you have skinny little blonde hairs,
they just fall right off.
Falls right off. So I this actually gave me anxiety. What am I going to do about my head?
Well, don't women have these pins that they use?
Yeah, they're bobby pins. But even those, just the way that you have to put them in, it just ends up slicking back on my head. And I thought, I didn't even know how much of my hair I got to show. So if it slipped back just a little bit, what's going to happen, you know?
They have swords.
What's going to happen? Right. So I had to YouTube how to tie a headscarf.
Really?
Yeah, and I had to watch a few videos because there are really fancy ways to tie headscarves.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, because there are all these videos for people who have gone through cancer treatments and things like that, and how to tie those into a rose, and how to tie it on the side, and how to do all these things. And I was like, I just want it to stay on my head. And anyway, I finally found one, and I am wearing a headscarf right now, tied in the manner advised by that video. What do you think, Ross?
Yeah, it's been staying on.
It's staying on.
That's great. J. Michael had warned me in advance that they have at the entrance, they have cloths that you can tie onto your head, and that's just fine for the men. So I use that.
Yes, you did. But you weren't there yet. I got there way before you.
Right.
And stood around because I had forgotten money. Everyone was giving an offering as they walked in. Literally every person that I walked in gave money as they walked in, and I didn't have anything and had to wait for Ross to save me.
Poor lonely prostitute.
And people kept coming in and looking at me because I suppose it was clear that I was an outsider.
How were they looking at you? Was it friendly?
A whore? No, no. They just would look at me, just notice me in a the way you'd notice that a present was in your room. That's not there before.
Okay. And how long did you wait before Mr. Moneybag showed up?
Half an hour. 40 minutes. I know. Right?
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. You were the one with the money.
Okay.
But you do leave your shoes at the door when you get there.
There's like these long racks outside the building, and it's a very long building. And there's ample parking, so I went in there, found a parking space, took off my shoes and socks. I saw one guy walk in with socks, actually. But, you know, I wasn't going to mess with that. Most people were barefoot, so I took off my shoes and socks. Then we were finally able to walk in. Now, as you go in, the entrance, again, this is a very long building. If you imagine a rectangle, just extend that rectangle out. And so you walk in the main entrance, and to your left is the main kind of
sanctuary area.
And then to the right is a kitchen. Then straight ahead,
there's this little, like, I could only call it a chapel coming from my background, but it's just a tiny room, and there was one man in it who people would go in and bow to and seem to have some sort of verbal exchange with him, but I don't really know what. And there
was like a fancy kind of princess-style bed in there.
Right. Yeah, it was very pretty.
Yeah, and it looked like he was some sort of sage.
And at this point, I kind of thought maybe this will be creepy and weird, and that will be exciting.
Yeah, that little room was intriguing to me.
Yeah.
But I don't think we quite knew what to do with it.
Right. And I was starting to get excited that maybe this would be really strange.
Yeah.
Right. But this place let us down. It is too normal.
Yeah, it's pretty normal. So, yeah, we walked in, and you'd been observing the kind of chapel. And, again, we'd been forewarned. And even there's a video on YouTube. We can post it on our Facebook page that showed what the inside looked like. So we knew kind of what we were dealing with. But now it was full of people, and there were a lot of people in attendance. I would say maybe less than 100 or about 100.
Yeah, 80. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds fair. So as you walk in, there's kind of a center aisle, and then you walk up the middle to this kind of altar type area. There is like a large shape in the front. It's covered with cloths. And in front of it, there's a pile of money. And did you notice there's actually a security camera pointed down at the money?
No, I didn't. You told me about that afterward.
Okay. So you walk there, and then you get on your knees, and then you touch your forehead to the ground with your hands kind of flat on the ground to the sides.
Right.
And then you put the money in, or you can do it the other way around. Then you go to your respective seating place.
Right, and the men and the women sit away from each other.
Right. So for the men, you go to the right, and for the women, you go to the left. And we went up at the same time after making sure to observe other men and women going at the same time. We didn't want to, have a faux pas there. So I kind of took a seat fairly near the front. I had a few people in front of me, but I was beginning to regret that later. I eventually wished that I'd gone farther back.
Yeah. Oh, see, I wished I'd gone further forward because I was an idiot and forgot my glasses. So.
Oh, you couldn't read anything.
I couldn't read anything. It was all just sort of pretty shapes.
And for the most part, that wouldn't be a problem because there was very little English in the ceremony.
Would have been fine, except that there were apparently video screens telling me what everything was in English, but I couldn't read them.
It would be multiple lines of Hindi, I would assume.
I think it's actually Punjabi, but
Punjabi.
Yes.
Okay. But there would be kind of an English transliteration at the bottom. There were like a lot of lines about vibrations, unity of the universe and the earth.
And this was all set to music.
Right. There was a little band of 4 guys, and they were playing drums and some sort of, it looked like electronic instruments.
I mean, it was really kind of like going to a concert. I mean, it was just really pretty music for like 45 minutes. I kind of felt like, sweet, I got this really cheap concert that Ross paid for.
Right. And actually, some people would go up and they would offer money directly to the band. There was another kind of cash collection center there.
Right. I don't know if they consider themselves the band.
I'm sorry. Well, the group with instruments.
Yes, no, it's fair.
But they were quite good. It was, this really nice music. The whole crowd would sing along. And at other parts, they just kind of sit there quietly. So you look around and you see a bunch of people sitting cross-legged.
Except the women. Actually, a bunch of the women weren't sitting cross-legged. Some were sitting cross-legged. Some were sitting with their legs to the side. Very ladylike, so you don't show your badge.
Thanks for that. Yeah, so the men were pretty much all cross-legged with their arms kind of draped across each knee. I was just in the business of kind of mimicking what everybody else did. So at certain parts of the song, like they would start singing along, and then they knew the right cue at which they should lean forward and bow. So I would do that with them and then sit back up.
And this whole time, there was someone in the center in the front waving an enormous feather over a book.
I was just going to mention him. That was my next thought. Yes. And people would trade off the feather.
Yeah.
Like even, a woman came up and she waved the feather for a while. It's like something that you would kind of fan somebody with, but instead of fanning somebody, they were fanning this kind of altar. It's round. There's like kind of multiple levels, concentric circles. There were flowers all over around it. And a few like golden scabbards.
And the feather waving. I don't know. I think that might have been one of my favorite parts was the random feather waving in the middle.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I felt pretty good about it.
I did want an explanation for that. I should say everything here is sparkly.
It is sparkly.
Yeah, really pretty. And
yeah, all really, really bright colors, which I've always loved about Indian decorating, all the bright colors. And this is all, again, disappointingly uncreepy.
Oh, yeah, not creepy at all. Actually, I was really enjoying it.
I know.
The whole time I was
enjoying
you sound so disappointed.
Yeah, a little bit.
Really? It seems like every now and then we should be able to do something that's not creepy.
Right.
Okay. Well, this was it.
I know.
Eventually, they kind of revealed what was under those cloths.
And it was, dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
A book.
A book.
A really, really, really big book.
Yeah. Are we sure yet what kind of book that would have been?
I think Ross, is it?
Mm-hmm, that's my name.
I think it was the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, which is their holy book.
You could see that all the way from the back, huh?
No, as I looked it up later.
Oh, very good.
I think that's what it was. They're the teachings of the fifth guru, I believe. But were finally written down, and now the book itself is considered the final guru. So as we were watching, I saw all these people going up and getting something to eat. They would walk up to this man who was kneeling down, and they would take something from him.
He had this big basket, and it was covered, and if someone would approach him, he'd uncover it.
Give them some of the secret stuff.
Yeah, and they'd kind of hold out their hands. So I was carefully watching everybody because I wanted the full experience. I wanted the stuff.
Right.
A little hungry.
Yeah.
And so after I'd seen enough people doing it, I walked over there, put out my hands kind of together, and so he opened up the cloth, pulled it out, put it in my hand. That sounds horrible.
Why?
He pulled it out and put it in my hand.
Oh, no.
So I walked up with my hand.
Don't redo it.
Oh, that was terrible.
That's funny. It's funny with your backup.
All right. So I held up my hands, and he gave me this kind of oatmeal consistency stuff. It kind of sticks together, and it's warm and a little moist, and you get a little
almost cakey, but not quite.
Yeah, and it comes with like a paper towel. And so I walked back to my position, and I should say, I was getting very friendly smiles from everybody. I sat next to this one guy, and he gave me a nice smile, and I gave him one back.
You were like, yeah, I did it right.
So I was ready to start eating this stuff, but I only saw one guy to my left, and he was just holding it there. So I held it there because I didn't want to just start munching on it. And
like
no,
popcorn.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Right.
Stop. And so, I'm just waiting. And so he's holding on to it. And then they start bowing. And so I have to bow.
with your sweet oatmeal.
Right. Yeah, the sweet oatmeal held in my hand. So I'd kind of keep it in the left hand just like he was doing.
And we're not talking about bowing like curtsying or anything. We're talking about
head to the
floor.
Yeah, and I was just
completely behind
dying.
you.
I wanted to be able to kind of glance backwards.
And of course I had forgotten my freaking glasses, so I was like, what is that? And I wanted to go up. Remember, I wanted to go up there, but I was worried because I don't eat meat, and I was afraid what if it's something that I don't eat, and I go up and then I'm like, oh no, thank you.
Okay, so
thank you for the holy meal, but I'm busy.
I figured it might have something to do with that. But I'd be kind of trying to steal a glance back just to find out what other people were doing and how they were eating it, and just nobody would sit in front of me that was eating this stuff. And so then there would be this interruption where a guy would come up and he would be doing kind of a prayer sort of thing, but he would have his back to the audience, and we'd all stand up with him, and then we'd all bow, and then we'd sit back down, and then we'd get up again. And this whole time I'm holding this sweet oatmeal stuff. Finally, this one man sits to the right of me and he just starts chowing on it. It's like, oh, finally. So,
the meal begins.
Yeah, I start eating it too. And by this time, it's soaked through the paper towel. It's like my hand is
just
all
a mess.
Gross. Yeah, it was pretty gross. I have to say, like, through the rest of the evening until I finally, at the very end, got to go to the bathroom and wash my hands, it was all over me.
Oh,
it was
dear.
terrible. Yeah, my hands are feeling really gross. But there's
So the man uncovered the cloth,
yeah.
put it in your hands, then your hands were covered with gunk and you had to go to the bathroom. Is that a...
Right, well, there was the paper towel, at least.
Ross, I'm trying to make it sexual.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so
yes.
You walk up.
Yes.
The man uncovers the cloth.
Yes.
Puts it in your hands.
He lays it in my hand.
Then
and I feel
you
dirty
find
all
yourself
night.
just covered in goop, and you have to go to the bathroom and wash.
That's exactly
That's
what happened.
That's a good summary.
Well described. Yes.
Yeah. So then these people started going to the front, as you were mentioning, and doing these sort of like readings or prayers.
Yeah.
Again, not in English, so I didn't know what was going on, but they were pretty, kind of soporific. And
we might have more to say about this if it was in English. We could actually rate the content of these messages, these songs.
Right.
But, it was just all a very pretty sounding language and nice music. So, hey, we were having a good time.
Yeah, totally. And there was a gong. The speaker would do a reading or a prayer. Then everyone would sort of repeat something in unison, and then there'd be a gong. I really liked that gong part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was busy thinking about all the friends that I should take to do this again because, it was really fun. Finally, they started this procession. Why are you laughing?
The book. There was just so much bowing as the book left.
Right. Well, they covered up the book. They kind of fold by fold put the white sheet over it.
Right.
Then they had
a very specific choreographed way.
Right. And one of the older men, with a grayed beard, he picked it up and was carrying it out. And everybody was walking backwards with their face toward it.
Right.
And everybody was bowing. So both sides, men and women.
And bowing like they knew exactly when to do it. It wasn't just like bow here, bow there, bow here. It was very specific times, and I don't know how they knew. But they would just bow, and they'd be like, oh, shit, we're doing it again?
Yeah. So I was just ready. As soon as somebody else started bowing, I started bowing.
We're bowing again.
Oatmeal or none. But by this time, I still had oatmeal. I hadn't eaten it all, but at least I was working on it finally.
Right. Yeah, so then the book finally left. And it really felt the way, like, your friends going on a bon voyage, and you're like, bye. I felt that way about the book. Like, oh, the book's gone. Bye, book.
Well, this whole time, like, occasionally I would look back and try to make eye contact with you because I didn't know if I was waiting too long or, like, you wanted to hurry up and leave. Because people would kind of come and go as they pleased. And I was enjoying the experience, but I didn't want to, have you sitting back there going, Ross, hurry up.
Right. Oh, no, I was having a good time, especially with all the bowing.
Good. Okay. But finally, everybody was leaving.
Right. And we headed out, and we had both been hungry for some time.
Yes.
And before you had gotten there, I don't know if I even mentioned this to you, before you got there was a man who kept telling me to eat. Who kept walking up to me and being like, aren't you going to go eat?
Into the kitchen area.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm waiting for someone. And okay. And then he'd leave, and then he'd come back and be like, you're still here. Are you going to eat? Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm good.
That's very sweet.
Oh, yeah. So then when it was over, we were like, well, we better eat the food. Which smelled amazing.
What we'd been looking forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we walked into the other half of the long rectangle. And I've got to say, this whole time, while we were sitting in there, I was thinking, this would work really well as a Masonic temple. Because it has, that long architecture, and they use those kind of rooms for their ceremonies. And then as we were leaving later, I noticed on the door, sure enough, Masonic symbol.
Oh, there you go. So, yeah, we went into the kitchen.
Right.
And it smelled so good. It had been smelling good all night.
Yeah.
We were waiting and waiting.
Everybody's
for the
pouring
good
into
Indian
there.
food.
And there were all these kind of mats on the floor. Remember, everybody is barefoot, but now you're like in a food place. So there was like spilled food here and there, and there's these mats, and people are kind of lining up.
No tables, just mats.
Just mats, right. So they're sitting cross-legged on the ground, kind of eating right next to each other. So you turn the corner, and
there's this long line of pretty ladies.
Yeah. It's like they have this like kind of beauty contest or something. They pick all the young, pretty ladies to serve food and stand in this line, shoulder to shoulder.
And I don't think we were imagining it. It was pretty conspicuous, like, these
absolutely.
are the hottest ladies. They will feed you some food.
It was great. And they've all got, big smiles on their faces, very welcoming, oh, come over here and get the food. And then I felt really bad, like I didn't want to say no to any of the food because, you take the food from one pretty lady and then
the next one's batting her eyes at you.
Right. So like, okay, well, I'll take that too. And so they gave us these kind of rectilinear plates, and it was just sagging under all the food. And I was really worried about this thing like kind of falling apart, and like it was a balancing act, just making sure it stayed at perfect equilibrium because they piled it up.
They really did.
You managed to skip a few dishes.
I did, yeah. Well, it was all vegetarian food, but there were some with dairy in it, so I just kind of snuck out on the dairy. But
yeah, it was just a bunch of Indian food. I love Indian food.
Oh, me too.
Hey.
And we had only paid like $12 in the offering.
Right. So boy, you want the a really good Indian food place
for cheap
in North Hollywood.
Just bow for a little while.
Enjoy some nice music. Go to the Sikh Gurdwara.
Yeah,
it was really nice.
Pretty sweet, and they will continually try to give you bread.
Yes, so there was bread and there was water, and so we're trying to manage all this, and we go and find a spot on the floor, and really we didn't need to worry about it because they kept coming by with refills of the lentils, of the water,
but the bread, I mean, they just kept being like,
please take more bread.
You need more bread.
Yeah.
You look like you need more bread.
You only have bread wedged between each and every one of your fingers. Have some more. I'll place it on top of your head. You can get it later.
Yeah, which, now that I think about it, is not very moderate. It's like they really wanted us to eat a lot of bread. Maybe they thought we were too moderate. Because we're kind of small.
Have we mentioned we were the only white people in the entire...
Yeah, I think we were...
group. Yeah, I didn't see anybody else who was Caucasian. That didn't affect how they treated us. Everyone was really friendly, and there wasn't really much communicating going on. They would offer us stuff, but there was very little exchange of words.
Right.
So yeah, basically free food, and we ate to our fill.
Yeah, we sure did. I was definitely satisfied when I left. It was really good.
And I should say, again, I was like, I want to wash my hands the whole time. But still, I was really enjoying the meal, and it was a great atmosphere.
It was great. And again, just completely not creepy.
Yeah.
I wish these
Sorry,
places...
people.
I know. I wish that, if they know we're coming... Make it a little creepy.
Yeah, bring out the swords, wave them around.
Right, do something like that.
Yeah.
Or
sacrifice
a...
No, don't do that.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Too creepy.
Make us stand with our faces to the wall for 15 minutes not saying anything.
Right.
Yeah,
I
would have felt good about that.
Put us in the corner, right. Something for us to be negative about.
Right.
But really, we had a good time.
This was all good. Oh, you know what though, Ross?
What?
Okay, I have something.
What did they do to you?
No, they didn't do anything to me.
Oh.
But one thing that did make me take pause, but would at almost any place that was making supernatural claims, was as I saw little kids going in. And that and watching it like from a culture that I wasn't raised in,
right,
made me all the more aware of like, oh, you're gonna grow up in this, and you're really likely to just buy it because you grew up in it. And I see that all the time with people in my own culture, of course, but it made me all the more aware of it just seeing it in another culture.
When there are kids involved, they can't help but be influenced by what their parents are showing and telling them. That didn't cross my mind. I thought, oh, cute kids,
they were cute kids.
And again, this is all in a foreign language, so we didn't know really the content of what they were teaching. We don't even
know what they're saying. Yeah.
But I think it's fairly safe to assume that it's a peaceful message and it's fine, and they're kind of praising their Lord.
So, Ross, looking back on all of this.
Okay.
If you even can give it a rating in this category, what would you give it for a pseudoscience rating?
Oh, boy.
Where 10 is something really pseudoscience-y, like you are made of goat sperm.
That's incredibly pseudoscience-y.
Doesn't make any sense.
Where did you come up with that?
And 1 is something very scientific.
A sound theory,
like the theory of evolution.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's scientific. Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know where I'd put it. Well, it wasn't unscientific, I don't know. I'm sure they were saying some metaphysical things. I don't know. I'm just going to go ahead and give it like a 3 or something, because it didn't seem like it was pushing anything that was unscientific. Well, for the lay English audience going in, you know, anybody probably listening to this podcast, there's really no anti-science or non-scientific content. So actually I'm going to downgrade to a 1.
Okay. So I would give it higher than that only based on the fact that there's a lot of God speak around. Because there were things in English that said there is only one God.
That's true.
That's certainly a supernatural claim that needs some backing.
Mm-hmm. So, Carrie, what would you say then would be the pocket drainer value of Sikhism?
Goodness. I would give... Okay, so...
If 10 is incredibly draining, all your money goes to it, and 1 is quite a good deal.
I would give it, I would give it a 1.4.
Okay.
Here's why. Ross, is it?
Yes, explain this point for.
Because I felt like we got a great deal when the meal is included, which it was.
Yes.
However.
Yes.
Any place that expects me to pay every single time I go, I'm still going to be like... I have to bring money.
Right.
So, I would have to give it, you know, a little bit for the fact that I would feel compelled to pay every single time I went, even if I didn't get food. But
absolutely.
Since I did get food, and I did not pay very much at all, in fact, I paid your money, this was a bargain.
Hey, win-win. Yeah, I would use kind of the same logic. I would say somewhere between 1 and 2, south of 2. Certainly, it's kind of mandatory, I would say, that you give some money, and the pressure's there to do that, but, you know, you don't have to give much.
Yeah, I think you could get away with giving $1 and no one would say boo.
Yeah, and they give you so much food so generously. It's a fun time. It's totally worth it.
Yeah,
so,
it's worth it for sure.
Yeah, not a pocket drainer.
All right, well then, Ross, what about the creepiness rating, where 10 is incredibly creepy, someone sacrificing a baby in front of you?
Yeah.
And maybe that's beyond creepy. Someone...
that's illegal, immoral.
Right, someone... Okay, something really creepy.
Count Dracula showing up.
And number 1 is something not at all creepy, like talking to your friend Carrie.
Oh, never mind. Well, as we've already lamented to you, our audience, it was not creepy. We were really hoping for something unsettling. You know, something that we could tell a story about and laugh at how creeped out we were. And no, it was actually quite pleasant. Quite pleasant.
Bummer.
So I'm going to give this a 1. Well, there was that little man in the room.
Ah, yes.
And it wasn't so much creepy as intriguing, but it had a tinge of creepy. So I'll give them a 2.
A 2?
I almost feel like that's too much.
More creepy than pocket drainer.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm going to say that.
Okay.
That's what I'm going with. All right, tell us your creepiness rating.
I would really give it like a 1.3.
Okay.
I didn't feel creeped out at all. Although I have to say, I personally, I don't really hold any like mystical or spiritual or religious beliefs. So there's a little bit of like, oh, that's kind of funny, creepy when people are talking about like souls that exist outside the body.
Right. And so, you know, to justify my 2, we were bowing quite a bit.
We were bowing a lot.
That has a creepiness.
Yeah, you know, there's a sort of like weird submission thing there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Woohoo.
All
justified
right.
too. So, Carrie, tell me, how dangerous do you think that the Sikhs are? How did you feel any kind of fear or worry or panic?
Where 10 is very dangerous,
very
right?
Very panicky. Very worrisome.
Well, based only on our experience there, not on any research because we didn't get very deep into that, but based on our experience there, I would say I'm right around a 1. I was not at all worried about these people. I would invite them over to dinner, hang out with them.
They're really
friendly.
Maybe
share a sleeping bag. Not worried.
Yeah. I like that. Share a sleeping bag. Absolutely. I would open my sleeping bag up to them as well. Very friendly. Everybody was smiling.
You'd especially open your sleeping bag to the guy who gave you the sweet oatmeal.
He was so inviting to me.
Hands. Right.
I can only return the favor.
Right.
So, I'll give it a 1 as well.
What was your favorite moment?
Oh, I would say my favorite moment was, well, just a collection of moments when I was trying
You can't do a collection of moments.
I have to pick one?
You have to pick one. That's what a favorite is.
All right, I'm going to say then the bread situation, the sweet oatmeal.
The oatmeal stuff.
Just trying to figure out what to do.
Shit, well, now I have two favorite moments and I have to pick, so just a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Double standards.
I think my favorite moment was basically sending off the book as the holy book's leaving, and I mean, I really just felt, like a woman in a movie from the 50s where her son is going off in a train and her scarf is blowing in the wind and she's waving and crying and saying, he'll be back soon, but it was a book.
Right.
And everyone's bowing. And
I was going to say, she doesn't bow to her son.
It's true. But, there's the reverence and the affection, it just
For sure.
felt like a human leaving. But it was a book.
I have a final thought. I recommend this place. I'd say if you're in the Los Angeles area, or really anywhere you are, go find your nearest Sikh Gurdwara and just check it out. Find out when their services are. Maybe don't call up.
Don't call.
Don't try to use
the internet. Find someone who knows.
Right. Find an intrepid friend at your local church to go and do advanced recon for you and then tell you.
Oh, and you know what else don't do? If you do end up Googling it and looking at people's blogs, the only thing I could find was from someone who was obviously just scared of any religion other than his own.
Oh, right.
And so it was very colored with that.
Don't believe them. Listen to us.
We will tell you the truth and other people won't.
So normally say we show up so you don't have to, but really in this case...
in this case we're saying go.
Yeah, do it.
Go.
It's fun.
Get some food.
Get some good Indian food and meet some really friendly people
right.
that you can't really talk to.
Right. They might believe some crazy things, but you won't know because it's in the wrong language.
Yeah.
If you speak Punjabi or Hindi, though, then all bets are off. We don't know.
Yeah. Well, let us know. Your experience may vary.
Yeah. Actually, yes. Please, listeners, if you speak the language at your nearest Gurdwara and you've been and you can tell us what's going on, we would love to know. info@ohnopodcast.com.
That's the one.
Speaking of which, Ross.
Yes?
We took some photos.
We did.
Where could people go to see the photos?
They could go to our Facebook page, do a search for Oh No, Ross and Carrie, and you'll find our page. You'll find pictures of us.
Oh my God.
You'll find pictures of our latest investigation.
We're good looking.
And you can even like us. Speaking of which, I don't think we got enough new likes between the last episode and now.
Yes, no colon cleansing for me, I guess.
You had your chance, people.
You really did.
Yeah. You blew it.
So that's it for our show today. Our producer is Ian Kramer.
Our theme music was written by Brian Keith Dalton. Check out MrDeity.com for more of Brian's talents.
Thanks to the Center for Inquiry Los Angeles for hosting us. You can visit them on the web at cfiwest.org.
And remember that the views expressed here are Carrie's. They're just Carrie's. And mine, and not necessarily those of the Center for Inquiry, its affiliates, or anyone else's for that matter.
Before we go, we have a puzzle for our listeners. It's our clue for the next show.
Be the first person to get it right and send us your mailing address, and we will send you something cheap and useless in the mail.
So this week's clue is...
It's a special clue.
It's a special clue.
Because it's a musical clue.
It is a musical clue.
Get ready.
Da, 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 da.
They come and knock on your door.
They come and knock on your door.
And there's usually two.
They come on real strong, think coffee's wrong. Can you guess this clue?
If you know what our next show's topic is, send it to us at clue@ohnopodcast.com.
And remember, if you're seeking the Sikhs,
don't use the internet.